Hello, I'm Ed Verdugo, and this will be part 2 of the video instructional on the combat rifle scope with the M4-62 reticle. Part 1 we covered actual live fire, and you got to see what the reticle looked like through the scope when we were actually engaging targets. In this video I'm going to cover a little bit more in detail of the reticle and do a little more explanation of it. First off, it's important to understand what this reticle was actually designed for. It was designed for actual combat, to cover the full spectrum of combat from point blank in your face distances to the effective range of the intended weapons it was intended to be used on. That's today's modern assault and battle rifles. Basically what that means is 300-yard headshots and 500-yard chest shots in day and low light conditions. That's why the reticle is illuminated. The most important aspect about what we just talked about, though, is CQB, close quarter battle. I think most people will agree that the fastest gun sights in the world for CQB are the red dot type gun sights such as the EOTechs and aim points. Based on that, this scope in combination with the reticle and the front focal plane was designed to work like a red dot gun sight in the CQB environment. It was designed to be turned down to 1 power, use 2 eyes open. The scope was also designed with a long eye relief and a very generous eye box, so it's very fast at CQB distances. Okay, important to understand the dimensions on a human body. Basically, a human body is going to be, a head's going to be about 8.5 to 10 inches. The width of the shoulders is going to be about 18 to 20 inches. Half of a body sideways at the mid-sternum is going to be about 10 to 12 inches. Okay. Based on that, we weren't really concerned about putting bullets in buttons on shirts at CQB distances. We just want to get quick vital zone hits now. Up close and personal, you need to shoot them till they fall and then shoot them in the head to make sure they're dead. So that's how the reticle works. You turn it down to 1 power and it gets very small on the human body at the close distances, and it looks like, and you use it like a red dot. Okay. Based on what I just said, we're going to get into the dimensions of the reticle. Okay. The reticle itself, again, it reflects the dimensions of a human body. I just went over. Basically, the 10 inches is pretty much consistent, so I call this the rule of 10. Okay. The horseshoe itself is 4 MOA thick. It's 4 inches thick at 100 yards. That's so it's quick to pick up and see and use in a variety of environments. The outside dimensions of the horseshoe from here to here is 18 MOA, 18 inches at 100 yards. That's shoulder width at 100 yards. The inside of the horseshoe, this is what I call the window. This is 10 MOA, 10 inches at 100 yards. That's the head at 100 yards. This also, the window is 10 inches at 100 yards, so it's 20 inches at 200 yards. That's the shoulder at 200 yards. Okay, from the dot to the top of the horseshoe, or I should say the bottom of the horseshoe right here, from here to here, that is 5 inches at 100 yards, or it is 10 inches, again, the head at 200 yards. So recap real quick. Shoulder to shoulder, 100 yards. Shoulder to shoulder, 200 yards, a head at 100 yards, a head at 200 yards. So for snap shooting and for shooting very quickly, you have a very fast ranging system out to 200 yards using the horseshoe on heads or shoulders. Now, if you're looking through the scope at a target at a farther distance, you're getting ready to drop the hammer on the guy and you got to range him. So you see his head is smaller than this, okay? How much smaller? Well, if his head fits in this first circle, that means the inside diameter of this circle and all of these circles is 10 inches at the given distance, or in other words, heads at the given distance. So if his head is smaller than that, you come down to here, his head fits in there, he's right at 300 yards, the bullet hits on that dot. If his head fits in here, he's right at 400 yards, the bullet hits on this dot, and so on, all the way down. Now, if I didn't mention already, this reticle is calibrated for the M4 rifle shooting 62 grain ammo. That's the M855 ammo. That sets up the ballistic. That's what this is calibrated for. You zero point of aim, point of impact on the first dot at 100 yards, and that sets up your ballistic scale for this reticle with that rifle and that ammunition. Okay. The first dot is a 1 MOA dot at 1 inch at 100 yards. Then we switch to half MOA dots all the way down for more precision. Starting at 400 yards, we put the ranging circles off to the side so we don't have clutter. And also on the center line, the half MOA dots give you much better precision than a 10-inch inside diameter circle at these distances. Now, out to 500 yards, we kept the half MOA aiming points, the aiming dots, on the center line, again for precision. Starting at 6, 7, and 800 yards, we put the 10-inch inside diameter circles back on the center line, because as far as I'm concerned, targets at those distances would be engaged as area targets, not point targets. Difference between an area target and point target is your rifle and your ammunition, you have the capability of hitting a certain size target out to a certain distance. That's, in other words, a head to 300 yards. That's a point target. A head at 500 yards, not realistic for an assault rifle. That becomes an area target. Okay? So starting at 6, 7, and 800 yards, we went from point targets, as we have here, to area targets. Now, between each 100-yard increment, we put in extra aiming dots. These would be for weapons that are not calibrated to this particular weapon, this particular reticle, or if you have changes in elevation or temperature, which would also affect your bullet drop. So these are just extra aiming points. They're definitive aiming points for different packages. And when I say package, I'm talking about your weapon, your ammunition, and of course the scope with this reticle. That's your package. Okay, for leading targets or for adjusting for wind, we have see these gaps here and these hashes. As you go down, they get smaller. The gaps and the horizontal hashes, they are in 10-inch increments at the given distance. Remember, a human body about 20 inches wide. The thickness is going to be sideways. The thickness is going to be about 10 inches. So there's your human body sideways for leading a moving man, or you can adjust for wind. Half of that gap is 5 inches, 10 inches to the end, 15 inches would be in half of the hash mark. So it's very quick and very easy to multiply in 10-inch increments. Everybody can remember that. Again, remember the human body, 10-inch increments, the reticle's done in 10-inch increments. It's called the rule of 10. The only other thing is these little dots right here for anti-canting, and from this dot to this dot is 4 mil. So if you know how to use the mil scale for ranging, you have a horizontal mil scale there for ranging if you know how to do that. That pretty much covers the reticle. Thank you very much for watching.